Part 1 of Fate is almost upon us, ladies and gentlemen, which means it is time to talk about the Should Ya Summon, along with the debut of Illya and Ren. So hopefully you all enjoy it. I would also like to mention too, gameplay on specific units may be a little bit limited because it's really hard to find gameplay of like Illya and Ren and all that on the Japanese version. It seems like a lot of people just show off Saber or Shiro, and that's about it. So let's talk about Illya first. This character has Arch-Gen, crit rate, and a nuke all in one. However, the way how she Arch-Gens a little bit different than other characters. Her Arch-Gen will only be active if you have 50% or more of your HP. This is very similar to that of 12th generation Mizuki. And this isn't the only thing that scales with HP in her kit. Her super art will also scale with how high her HP is. So this character wants to be pretty healthy. However, there's nothing in the kit that actually provides healing unless you're opting in for her true weapon. But even then, it's not like that sizable of a heal. It's a decent one, but it's not going to be able to have you constantly above that 50% HP threshold, especially in harder content. So she is going to be a type of character that relies on another unit to keep her healthy, whether that be Aristella, Haruto, hell, Valhalla. If you have to use Valhalla though, you really are down bad. But as long as you factor that in with team building and make sure she always has some type of healing on your team, which most of the time you're going to have anyway, you'll never have to worry about Illya running out of juice. Also, another thing to mention too about this character, she is a type F Arch-Genner, so she's able to stack with practically every other character in the game apart from 12th generation Mizuki, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, all in all, Illya is pretty much the very strong support from this crossover. She does have some negatives like the trouble with sustaining, or you know, if you haven't noticed, her slots aren't too crazy for supporting, but really good in terms of damage dealing. But yeah, if you wanted a character that just gave you more Arch-Gen, gave you crit, had a massive nuke in the back pocket, Illya is definitely your girl. Moving on to the next character, which is going to be Ren. Even though there's technically two characters in this one unit, it does not change how this unit works, by the way. Kind of a bummer, but yeah, Illya is just here pretty much as decoration. So unlike how Illya is, Ren is a lot more damage focused in terms of supporting, and she's also a little bit of Arch-Gen in the kit, specifically towards fire characters only. Not only just this, in order to really capitalize on how much damage potential and to really push her deeps even further, they did give her a scaling passive damage buff that she applies to the whole team. And the way how this works is that every time you burn an enemy with your art, you will increase everyone's damage by 30%, capping out at 300% damage up. So in a lot of long form content, this character could be a menace, especially in a content form like the mines, for an example, where you have multiple stages. If you use this character and you're able to get that many burn procs off, and you're also using a character, let's say like Shaltir, so you're going to be able to capitalize on the super art plus the damage passive as well, that character is going to wind up hitting extremely hard, and she practically makes it to where any character in the game becomes a scaling attacker. But that's pretty much all there is to say in regards to Ren. She is very, very damage focused. She doesn't really have a lot of utility outside of just damage buffing and stuff, but in terms of nuke comps and in terms of any type of long form content, you would definitely be trying to take this character into it. So now let's get to the verdict. You've heard a little bit about both these characters, heard some of my opinions sprinkled in there as well. Are these two characters worth their crystals or not? I feel like with this one though, it's not as simple as just yes or no. It's more so, do you need these characters? Because everyone from Fate I would consider as kind of like a toolbox. There's so many good characters in the crossover that it's really just picking what you want and what you feel like you need at the current moment. So in terms of the unit banner, I would say this is actually a summon for every new player in the game, especially if you don't have a very strong second Arch-Genner and you want to pick up Illya. She could be great. I don't necessarily think she could be very good as a single support character like the main support, since she does rely on someone else to kind of heal and stuff like that, but very good as a secondary Arch-Gen pick. However, I will say if you're a new player and you want to pick up Ren, a little bit of a downer, just a tiny bit, because she's not going to be doing too much. This is more of a character that's going to be benefiting veteran players or players with already established accounts more so than people who are brand new to the game. If you're a veteran, like I mentioned, it's really up to you. Very much going with that toolbox approach. Just go for what you need. If you want Illya, because you're like, you know what, that Arch-Gen can stack with everybody, then hey, go for Illya. If you want that crazy magic damage buffs and the magic resist downs, because maybe you don't have a good magic damage buffer, then Ren is your girl. But just keep in mind that neither one of these are necessarily the must-summon characters from this crossover. Or let me say, there's really only one must-summon character. Everyone else is like S-tier plus, though. So I guess all in all, this devolves into, you should at least do a multi, unless you really don't want either one of these characters. I do want to mention, too, before I actually talk about the equips, because I will be talking a little bit about them, because there's some notable ones here, is that if you are planning on going for Ren and Illya, or maybe you're planning on going for Ren, Illya, let's say Shiro later on, or whatever. There's a lot of characters you want from the Fate crossover. You don't have to necessarily summon on this banner and waste like a lot of crystals on this one if you don't want to. And the reason for that is because there's going to be 4 parts to the Fate crossover. As we already know, the first part consists of Illya and Ren, second part Shiro and Miyu, and the third part consisting of Chloe and Salter. However, the fourth part will consist of every one of the Fate characters on a singular banner, and this banner will allow everyone to summon on it. It's not a paid only banner, and as long as we follow JP, that should be a thing at the very end of the crossover. So if you want to make like the most informed decision possible, you could wait till that banner drops to summon for everybody at once. Of course, though, this should work exactly like Overlord did, so pity should carry over between all the Fate banners. So I guess it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, but if you wanted to wait for the final banners because you're summoning for multiple characters in different parts, that would probably be the best thing to go with. Now moving on to the equips, there are some notable ones here that are definitely worth some consideration, and possibly your crystals. Magical Ruby, this is a 60% light resist down if you're a human, 40% if you're not. We have a new AoE Archon item. It gives you 40 art gauge in total, and it also buffs up human allies crit rate by 100% for 10 seconds. And on a 55-second cooldown, APS on this should be around like 0.72 if I'm not mistaken. So it's definitely not the greatest, but it's not the worst that we've seen either. So if you're lacking AoE Archon items, picking up something like this could be pretty beneficial for you. Another item that's pretty interesting is gonna be Ren's outfit. This is a 5-star magic, and it's kind of similar to Victor's catsuit. You're getting a magic damage buff, you're getting art gauge, and that art gauge is only 30, but on the first use, you get an additional 50 art gauge, so you're getting 80 in total on the very first use of this equip. But yeah, now actually looking at it, it's pretty much just Victor's catsuit with an additional effect. So if you don't have Victor's catsuit, or you want another type of equip that's similar to that, Ren's outfit, very strong. The last one that may come up here and there, and it might actually be good in certain situations, especially with characters that have 4-star supports that are human, Illya's Saber Dress. 20 art gauge on this bad boy, and it gives you 15% DR for 15 seconds. More so, I like the DR than anything, just makes your team more survivable, and yeah, seems like a good equip to me. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it for part 1 of the crossover. Tell me down below if you're going to be summoning for any of these units or equips, or if you're possibly skipping this part for a later part in the crossover. Your boy's going to be having some summon videos on this. Not tomorrow, because of course tomorrow we're actually going to be doing a reaction to the new JP live stream that will be showing off the next crossover in the Japanese version of Grand Summoners. But on Friday, you guys best believe we will be here faithfully with the summon video. Either way though, that's gonna be it for this one, man. Thank you all again for coming out. It's been your boy P, and last but not least, you guys already know, don't forget to drink water.